All right. All right. So Sita Dumbuya here, and we're here with Miss Summer King, the one and only, here in Freetown, Sierra Leone, at her office. And at the Summer, you mind to go ahead and do a quick introduction, just what you're doing, your business here, and we'll get into the interview.
Thank you. Thank you, Tita, for this opportunity. So again, my name is Summer Fauna King, Sierra Leonean, who is now living in Freetown, Sierra Leone. My journey started here in Sierra Leone, and I left when I was 18 and went to England for a little bit and then went to the US. Stayed in the US for about 30 years
Wow.
and moved back to Sierra Leone in 2015 in the heat of Ebola.
Mm.
My children said, "Mommy, you're gonna go die. Please don't go." And I said, "Well, it was heartrending for me, but
Yeah.
I was born here. I went to school here, so coming back was not a bad option. I'll I'll,
Yeah.
I'll kind of put it that way.
Gotcha.
Yes, and coming back, I now have two companies here in Sierra Leone. My
Nice.
first company was established in 2011 before I moved, and that one focuses on human capacity development, where we do a lot of HR stuff, including soft skills training. And my second company was established in 2020, which is a call center.
Gotcha. And that was in 2020. That was after the pandemic started,
It was right before.
right before.
So we started in April. We
Uh,
actually went to business April 2020, and the pandemic started that
ah,
December and January of 20. No, was it?
it was 2020. Well, it really started like December. I think it left China around March because we were here for our dad's funeral around that
Yes,
time.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, but we launched April 2020.
Okay. So
That was when we
yeah.
launched.
So it
Yeah.
really hadn't hit, but
It
it was
was, yeah,
starting and
it
yeah.
was starting.
So
Yes.
you love pandemics is what I'm hearing. Ebola came, you started here.
It
You
looks like
started one
that.
company, the second company right
Yes,
after
yes.
COVID. So
It really looks like it. It
yeah.
really looks like it. Yes, yes, for
Okay.
sure.
All right. No, that's good. So 2015 you start one company, 2020. So now you're a serial entrepreneur here in Freetown, but you were living in Atlanta for 30 years or the US for 30 years. So I gotta dive into that. Like how many people do we know, live in the US, live abroad, and maybe have some kind of aspiration to do business here, but they never do it? What actually made you pull the trigger and come back?
Well, so in 2011, I was actually one of the MCs for the country's 50th anniversary celebration. And so while I was there at State House, President's Lodge, meeting with
Mm,
people, there were a lot of heads of state here. So, I was right in the middle of everything. And one of the things that I knew that we needed to work on in Sierra Leone was customer service,
mm,
where we needed to find a way where we can improve customer service to anyone
yeah.
that's in Sierra Leone. And so before I left, I went ahead and established my company,
Mm,
CJI Group Limited, and started talking to organizations about how I
nice.
can support them in working with their staff to train them on different soft skills.
Nice.
So fortunately, it seemed like, people wanted that.
Mhm.
So in 2011, I was fortunate to come to Sierra Leone twice, 2011, 2012. And then my mother was sick. We had to bring my mother to Sierra Leone.
Mm.
But, when I was coming, those 2011, 2012, I spoke to a lot of companies. And some people said to me, you should move to Sierra Leone
Yeah.
and do this. But I wasn't ready to move to Sierra Leone because of my children.
Right. Yeah.
One was just starting college, another one was getting ready to graduate from high school, and I had a younger one.
Yeah.
So it was kind of tough to make those decisions. So my mother passed away in 2014 here in Sierra
Sorry to hear
Leone.
that.
And the day she passed, the next day, I had a call from Sierra Leone. And they were inviting me to an interview for a job.
Hmm.
So I said to them, okay, I'm coming anyway for my mother's funeral,
Yeah.
and I'll make sure that I make time to talk with you guys and have the interview. So I had the interview. It went very well. They wanted me to meet with the board of directors. So I said, okay, I'll have to come back because my son graduates end of May.
Yeah.
So after the graduation, get him settled, and then I'll come. And I did. I came back in June, interviewed, and I got the job. And it was to be the sales and marketing manager for a hotel that they were refurbishing. And so that was what truly brought me to Sierra Leone.
Mm.
I had a job offer. They were paying for me to move to Sierra Leone. So I did. I wanted the difference because I left Sierra Leone at such an early age, 18,
Yeah.
and I really did not understand much about my country.
Yeah.
And
No,
coming
that's true.
back to now learn a little bit more on my own, because before I left, I was with my parents.
Yeah.
And now, 30 years later, um, it will be on my own. So the opportunity was a good opportunity, even though it involved leaving my children. But we had the conversation and they
Mm.
were okay
Yeah.
because they've been to Sierra Leone before and they love Sierra Leone.
Yeah.
So that was a positive thing. But, that job opportunity worked, and it only worked for a year.
Mm.
And we said our goodbyes.
Yeah.
But fortunately for me, because I had established CJ Group Limited in 2011, and I had kept in touch with all my clients, and I did prospect a lot and met new clients, I decided to rent an office and just start my
Mm.
training business. And so, with the training, because I was now involved with private and sometimes public sector training, um, I now knew more people, and I now
Yeah.
saw the need for having a call center where people can call to get customer support, basically for
Yeah.
customer support. And so, I basically do two jobs. I do my training, which just involves me and anybody else that I get involved. And then I have the call center where currently I have 16 staff and two supervisors. So that
Mm.
itself is a challenge, but it's working. It's having people understand why it's necessary for you to outsource. In here in Sierra Leone, people don't want to let go. Everybody wants to hold everything.
Mm-hmm.
Delegation is not, it's not very welcoming. So for organizations to think about, why should I give this outsider part of my business to
Yeah.
run for me, is a challenge, and we're still working on it. But I have 3 clients today
Yeah.
and hoping to get a fourth very soon.
Nice.
So people are understanding the concept, and
Mm.
people are now seeing that it's not so bad, because when customers call us, you're not answering the call as CG Call Limited. It's all about the client.
Yeah.
We do business the way the client wants us to do business with them, and we
Yeah.
have different types of sectors, which makes it very interesting.
Yeah. No. Let me unpack a few things that you just mentioned there. All right. So for one, you came, kind of as an employee, which didn't materialize for too long, or after 1 year, it kind of fell out the way. But did want to highlight that you already had an established business, so that's just one benefit of always kind of having that business, that entrepreneurial mindset, and because I'm sure you're doing a lot of brand building and nourishing those relationships even while you're still an employee.
Yes.
So one, I think that's always very good to highlight. There's a lot of people that look like or think that it's like one or the other, either you're employee or entrepreneur, where you can be entrepreneurial in your role, and that can kind of be like a backup for you, or something that maybe materializes into a much bigger calling for yourself outside of your employment. So yeah.
You're very right, because when I was in Atlanta in 2011, I was employed,
Yeah.
with a Fortune 500 company.
Yeah.
But I had been with the company for so long that I had about 6 weeks vacation. So
Yeah.
I basically used my vacation time to
Nice.
come to Sierra Leone and do the trainings. And
Yeah.
while I was there, I made it a point to network with other
Mm-hmm.
companies, basically building relationship. And in Sierra Leone, it's good for you to build relationship.
Yeah.
Because when you're building relationship, it open doors.
Exactly.
Definitely open doors
Open
for you.
doors. And then another thing that you mentioned is like you see the need for customer service. I think a lot of people who may not be from Sierra Leone, who haven't really visited this part of the world, may not know what it's like. You know, there's a lot of benefits to being in Sierra Leone. I'll say that, but when it comes to employment and hiring employees, customer service can be lacking. So you notice a need and you decide to fill it, and it goes beyond just a business. You're filling a need that the country needs. It's not just about business or how much I can make. There's also how do we progress and make Sierra Leone improve, and how do we fill the gaps that are here. And you're doing just that, and you're finding a way to be able to add value to clients. So yeah, it
Exactly.
goes beyond just the
And
business.
and you said it well, because yes, I'm here to work to make money, but then for me, the biggest thing for me is walking down the street and then somebody comes up to me and says, "Hey, Mrs. King, do you remember me?" I'm like, "Oh, I talked to so many people. Oh, Mrs. King, thank you so much for that training that you gave to us.
Yeah.
It has changed the way that I do things." For
Nice.
me, that
Yeah.
is, I mean,
uh,
I know I need the money, but just those comments for me tells me that I have done something for my
yeah.
country, because I'm making a change.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah. Having impact.
working, yes, I'm making an impact. I'm working on their behaviors,
Hmm.
changing mindset, helping them change their attitude, which is a big thing. And I don't think it's unique just to Sierra Leone.
Right.
I think it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Every country has some of those challenges
Yeah.
as well. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. All right. And that'll bring me kind of into the next question. Thank you for answering that one. Um, and how has that adjustment been? And since you moved back full time, certain amenities that you're used to in the West and in the U.S., you just don't have those here. So it's like, how have you made that adjustment, and how's it been?
So I'll tell you, it's not easy.
Yeah.
Um, I think for me, the one good thing was, before I moved in 2015, I had been coming to Sierra Leone. So I had been coming and I met old school mates, and we kind of rekindled our friendship. And I met new people, which is one, because you need that kind of base. Um, Challenges with the electricity, challenges
Yeah.
with water, challenges with people's attitude. Um, those are all things that you yourself has to build that kind of mindset that's going to help you to move forward. Because if not, you will get very frustrated. So, simple thing like, the power grid, which we hear it's EDSA.
Hmm.
So EDSA goes off. What do? You should have a backup. So your backup is your generator, or
Hmm.
if you have solar. And then sometimes even your backup doesn't work for you, because maybe the grid has been going on so well that you did not even need to turn your
Yeah.
generator on. And now you go and turn it on and the battery is dead. So what do? So you have to have that kind of mindset to say, okay, this is just temporarily. I'm
Right.
just gonna sleep. It's gonna be hot, but but in the morning I'll figure out what to do next. Because the moment you start getting yourself frustrated,
Yeah.
the more you start thinking about, oh, I'm not gonna do it here. I have to go home.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm saying home as the country that, which is home, because for me, I spent 30 years in the US.
Hmm.
So truly, I spent more years in the US than I've even spent here in Sierra Leone. So you just have to find a way, how to accept people for who they are.
Hmm.
You can work on them, but you cannot change them. And if you cannot change them, you don't lose sleep over it. You just need to be focused. You just need to do what you have to do for you. Another simple thing, your driver. Your drivers can have the biggest attitude.
Mm.
So because I know how to drive, if I have a meeting and my driver doesn't show up at 8, I just start my car and I drive and I go to my meetings. I'm like I'm like every other person.
Yeah.
At least I know how to drive.
Yeah, yeah,
So I can just get my car and I can go to my meetings. And I don't take people or things for granted. I've had the exposure. I tell people I have the exposure, I have the education, I have the experience. And so coming to Sierra Leone here, I just want to be, someone who's making a difference. And so all of these inconveniences, as long as I'm safe,
yeah,
which is very good, which is, the ultimate, because my children may be worried if something is
yeah,
going on and they'll start bothering me to move back home.
yeah, yeah.
But as long as I'm safe, any other inconvenience, I try to manage it. I don't live above my means.
Mm,
I manage myself accordingly. I don't have to be everywhere. All these big events that they have in,
yeah,
I don't, I just leave below my means, and all I want to do is make a difference, make money, and then when I retire, I can do the things that I want to do for me.
gotcha. Etsy, you talked a lot about like, just kind of adjustments you're making of living here. When it comes to business specifically, what have been like some of the challenges, whether it's finding employees, finding space, like what are those challenges and how have you managed?
So, finding space was not a big problem for me. I mean, well, finding the space is one, affording the space is another, right?
All right.
So I struggled with that a little bit. Wanting to be in a very nice place comes with paying a lot of money.
Indeed.
So I kind of battled with that because I really did not have like the capital to start the
Hmm.
call center. But because I have a training business, I was able to fund the call center from the
Mm,
training business that I'm doing. And so finding the right space for the type of business that you want to do with the cost of that space was somewhat a challenge. And also, yes, getting the right people, the right mindset.
yeah. So what do you do for it? Like, how do you actually source your employees? How do you find them and train them?
So I advertise on Facebook,
Okay.
which is because a lot of people on Facebook.
Right.
Um, and then I advertise on Twitter, and then there's word of mouth as well. I tell
Okay.
people that I'm looking for staff. But for every staff that I have, we go through processes. They go through training. There's so much. I look at the people that have been with me since the start, when they started and who they are now, and I see so much improvement in
Yeah.
everything. Their attendance, their punctuality, the way they talk. So it's a work in progress, but you cannot give up, right? So even in the US, depending on what work you do, there's always in-service trainings that you
Yeah.
have to undergo, and it and that is basically what has helped us to mold us into the people that we are today, because companies in the US, they take training very seriously.
Yeah. As it should.
The other issue is integrity.
Yeah.
So integrity is a big thing that you have to deal with. And for you to kind of overcome some of that, you just have to be hands on.
Hmm.
If you know you want to do business in Sierra Leone, you have to be hands on. You cannot be overseas and you're trying to do business here. There'll be some kind of failure.
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, you have to be here. You have to treat the people well. Um, and sometimes you just have to understand where they are coming from, because if not, you'll just get frustrated.
Hmm.
So that's a big challenge for them to understand that 7 a.m. is 7 a.m. and not 7:45 a.m.
Yeah. So with
Because
the
we run a 24/7 call center,
gotcha. So
and
you need
and
people
and
be
we're
there
in
on time.
shift, yeah,
Yeah.
and the working shift.
Now with the people you hire, would you say most of them kind of have like a more white collar background? Like have they worked in offices before? Are these people like fresh? This is their first time like working in an office environment.
I'll say about 90% of people that I have, this is their first
Okay.
real job environment. And that's the other challenge, because they've never worked in an office. So
Yeah.
they don't even have the protocol
Right.
of what you do, how do you do things, how important it is for you to be at work at 7 when you're scheduled to be there at 7.
Yeah.
And don't come with a lot of excuses about transportation or, all the other thing. But you just have to stay firm.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to stand firm and let them understand this is the way you are doing business. If it doesn't work for them and they cannot adjust their life, then maybe they have to find another employer.
Yeah.
But you have to be firm,
You gotta be
and
firm.
and you have to be the example.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to stand with integrity so that you can help them, so
Yeah.
that they can understand that.
No, that's true. You set the bar. You're the leader of the ship. You're the captain of the ship. So anything you do, like they'll do in excess.
Oh yes.
So if you're a little bit late, they'll be extremely late. If you show any ounce of lack of integrity, then they'll show that by a mile. So you got to set the standard, and it looks like you're doing a good job of doing that.
You have to. A really good example of something that happened recently. What that's happening tomorrow. We're having a holiday party, and it's a merry time. Everybody
Yeah.
wants to feel merry and everything, but we're having it in the office, and so we're having the food and everything catered. And one of the staff said to me, "Well, are we gonna have?" They sent me this picture of all sorts of alcohol, and I'm like, "No, I'm sorry,
You know.
we cannot have alcohol on property
Right.
because one of our policy is no alcohol, no drug, no smoking.
Mm-hmm.
So if I bring alcohol into the building, which means I'm telling them
Yeah.
at some point you can do it.
Exactly.
So they're not very pleased about that, but the rule is the rule, and kind of encourage them to use that drink in somebody else's house, and have their own holiday party there. But there will be no alcohol in this
Yeah.
building. So it's things like that that you have to make sure that you follow through, and
Gotcha.
then you stand firm on things. Like if somebody comes late, um, we talk to them. They have verbal, and we've even suspended some people who
Mm.
continuously we have punctuality issues with them, and then they change.
Yeah, and then they
So
change.
yeah,
So it was about creating the right incentives and the right environment
yes,
to help them matriculate into serving the company because your company
exactly.
is serving its clientele. So what can they do to help it meet the company's goals and make sure they fall in line?
Yes,
Yeah.
and this is a call center. So all over the world, call centers have a very high turnover.
Mm.
So and it's okay because it's a stepping stone.
Yeah.
When I started my corporate career in the US, I started at the call center. So I do understand that, and I just want to make sure that when they leave here and go into another institution, they already molded. They know how to behave,
Yeah.
how to talk, how to
Yeah.
dress, and how to carry themselves in any environment that they are.
Okay. All right. Now I'm gonna switch gears here. I want to know more about how you been able to build clientele. You said you had some connections when you were working as an employee, but what does that look like on an ongoing basis? How you marketing? Is it word of mouth? Just kind of tell me what that's like.
So I do what am I all the time, and then I have a Facebook page, and then I have Twitter, and I do all of that. But because the call center idea is a new idea in Sierra Leone, it's the very first outsourced call
Mm,
center in Sierra Leone. So it's very new. And, when I started the interview, I talked about having people understand that it's okay to outsource
yeah.
so they can now focus on their core business and they're not bogged down with all the issues with customer support, right? So currently we have 3 clients and hopefully a fourth is on the way. One is a bank. We take all their customer support calls. The other one is the government. Um, and another one is an oil and gas company.
Mm,
So, so we're building and we're serving different sectors. Um, I was recently in the UK. I attended a call center expo, and one of the exhibitors were there, and I was talking to them, and he was saying to me, "Well, maybe you should just focus on one particular sector." And I said, "Sierra Leone is so small that you
yeah.
cannot focus on doing business
Yeah.
with just one sector. You really need to tailor yourself in a way where you can do business with different people." So the call center, and that's why it's called contact center, because we not only answer calls for customer support, we also do monitoring and evaluation for
Mm,
the oil and gas company. That's what we do for them. We
okay.
monitor their trucks on the road. We monitor their terminal and see, through the camera and see, who's there and who's not
Nice.
supposed to
Okay.
be there. And we
Yeah.
do a lot of reporting to them. So it's really having the mindset of saying, okay, what do I do next? That is different.
Yeah.
That is
How do you
unique.
innovate? How do you separate yourself from the, well, in this case, it
Yes.
might not be a lot of competition,
For
but it's like,
now.
yeah, for now.
For now,
So you
yes.
prove the concept and,
Yes.
everybody's working with you and then people start copying.
Yeah, people start copying, but
Yeah.
I'll always be say I was the first.
Yeah.
You
But
know.
no, it's you're bringing a concept and it's like how do you make sure that you're providing the most value. That as a business owner, that's what you're constantly doing.
Mhm.
How can I make myself more valuable to my clientele? And
Exactly.
long as you do that, you keep answering that question and
Mhm.
finding new ways to add value.
Mhm.
That's really what keeps you in business in any type of business.
Yes, and then to answer your question again, it's because the country is so small. Um, there are only few business. It's not a lot of businesses,
Yeah,
right? So, as somebody coming back to Sierra Leone or who's thinking about doing business in Sierra Leone, you kind of give up when you have 10 no's
yeah,
and you say,
yeah.
they don't need my service. No, you can't.
Mm,
You just have to continue, and you have to show them why they should do business with you. You yourself have to be worthy. You yourself have to make sure that what you say is what you're doing, right? When I tell people the call center is open 24/7, when they call the call center and people are picking up the phone, that shows credibility.
yeah.
It is what I'm saying. That's
Mm,
exactly what we're doing.
yeah.
So that also, but then, not everybody that you talk to want to do business with a call center. So, but you don't stop.
Yeah, you just keep
You
going.
keep
You find the
talking.
person who is.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah.
All right. Now, I do have this question I told you I asked. What's one thing you wish that you knew before starting a business here?
I, with the call center business, because it's completely new
Mm,
business in Sierra Leone. Some of the things that I wish I knew in the front, but then again, I think it's the cost that
yeah.
may be prohibitive. Um, Marketing a lot more, because I think I could really market a lot more and bring it out there. But marketing is so expensive. But I wish I knew that in the beginning. I also wish that not only the marketing aspect, but also just the challenges. There's so many challenges involved. Just communicating with people, having services up and running, um, other businesses that I need to help me do what I'm doing, like the telecoms.
Yeah.
The challenges that they also face is a challenge for me, because whenever they're not able to serve me, then it affects the way I do business with my customers.
So like the way you actually make calls and like so if the I guess the phone company whatever they're down now your business is hit and
Exactly.
they're dealing with the same challenges of power and
Exactly.
sometimes internet employees and
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. So it's funny because after we moved here, we had a lot of challenges. So now we're testing a different way to do business, and it's working. So maybe when I started, maybe I could have, but no, no. Um, but just the dealing with people, dealing with staff,
Hmm.
um, making sure, um, because of the electricity problems.
Hmm.
Um, but it wasn't that way when I started. It has changed.
The
Maybe
electricity.
my billing, my cost will have been different. You know, and there's some things you really don't know that is going to happen until it happens.
Mm.
When we started business in 2020, the cost of the dollar and what it is now, it has,
Yeah.
it's really, 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 really declined. So that has hurt
Mm.
what we're doing. If I had that foresight, I would have at that time insisted on a dollar invoicing
Ah,
payable in the currency at the bank's mid rate.
got you.
So an example, if my cost was $500 at the time when I started doing business, I should not have agreed to convert it into the current currency at that time.
Right.
But if I had kept it at the Leone
Mm.
at the dollar pricing, then it will not affect me the way it's affecting me
Right.
now.
Right.
Does
So
it make sense?
yeah, so like I think a dollar at
That
that point
foresight,
was
yeah.
like what? I think when we came
It
in
was like
2020,
750.
yeah.
2020, you can change $100. $100 was 750. Today, $100 is 2,400.
Mm, yeah.
So which means that it's like three times,
Yeah.
So
Okay.
so that's one thing that I wish I had
No, that
known at that time.
that's a gem because that's something I would not have thought
Yes,
about. You come to a country, you want to do business. Naturally, you want to do business in that country's currency,
exactly.
but with the volatility of the Leone relative to other currencies, it may hurt you. So
It may
that's just
hurt
something to
you.
think about if you're getting into
Yes.
business here.
Yes. So I I doing it over again now. I will bill in dollars,
Hmm.
and when you want to pay me, you'll pay me in the country's currency at the Bank of Sierra Leone's mid rate on
Hmm.
that day when you're paying me.
Gotcha.
Then it's not a loss for me
That makes
at
sense.
that time.
Okay. Now we talked about a lot of the challenges. What are some of the benefits of doing business here versus like if you had to do business in another country, the West?
Well, for one, the US has a lot of call center. If they don't, they
Yeah.
outsource into India. Um, I feel proud as a
Hmm.
Sierra Leonean that I'm here and I'm helping with the unemployment. I have
Yes.
staff,
Very true. High
yes,
unemployment rate
high
here.
employment rate, and just the fact that even with the training, every time somebody stops me and says thank you to me
Yeah.
for how I help them to see things from a different point of view, it's so gratifying for me. And in the US, I mean, who will care? No, nobody cares,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
There's a
So
personal aspect
yeah,
to it.
so that is so gratifying, to know that I am part of, building, building the nation building. Also helping with the unemployment,
Hmm.
and that I make people really happy and appreciate the fact that a Sierra Leonean
Yes.
is here, and they're helping them to build knowledge. They're giving them a different insight. And when I do my trainings, even though, yes, 80% is in English, 20% of it is in Creole, which gives them a better understanding.
Hmm.
And we're using scenarios that deals with what happens in country. It helps them to look at all this from a different perspective
Right.
and understand why change is needed
Right.
to make
So
a difference.
yeah, let me unpack a little bit of that. So with one, the major thing is competition. So you come into Sierra Leone is kind of like an emerging market. So in the U.S., a lot of businesses are established. They've been doing this for years, even when black people were in chains. So they're building business for generations.
Yes,
Whereas here, there's still like you have the opportunity to be a pioneer in certain
yes.
industries that are long oversaturated
Mm-hmm.
in the U.S. Certain even like real estate.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, there's a lot of people doing real estate, doing business here, but there's still like so much untapped market, so much opportunities growing at a much faster rate than the U.S. was already established.
Mm-hmm.
And then that same thing was happening with your call centers, like you're pioneering something. So that's one benefit, just being able to kind of get in on the front end of things. Two, like you kind of touched on this, like even with employing people, um, we have the opportunity and the ability to add value in ways that other people who aren't Sierra Leoneans, even if they live here, even if they, kind of come here, we have like the opportunity to add value in a way that they can't because we know our people. So if
Mhm.
you're adding training, you're doing training in a way that the people here can benefit from that nobody else can come in and really because they don't really understand or relate to the people here.
Well, I tell these companies, I'm like, you can bring anyone into the country, but here I am. I am a Sierra Leonean.
Yeah,
I've got the education, I've
exactly.
got the experience, I've got the expertise, and
Yeah,
I can speak the local language.
exactly.
I mean, what else do you want? And I look like the people
Yeah,
that I'm training, so they can relate to me better.
exactly.
They're able to communicate with me.
Yeah,
So yes,
yeah, that's
definitely,
big.
yes.
Okay. And then now moving into next question. So with a lot of stuff going on, or people come here, we come here most of the time, people come here to JC's during Christmas, during December, but you're here year round, you probably understand more of like where the gaps are. Where if somebody came in with a business to meet a certain need, that would be a big value. What do you see those opportunities where those gaps are that need to be filled? Where if somebody came in and started a business, it would be very beneficial.
So to be honest with you,
Mm,
um, Sierra Leone is a really virgin country. There's so many things that people can
yeah,
come up with, so many
yeah,
ideas.
yeah,
I just like to see the young people that are coming back and all the creative things that they're working on. My niece, she used to live in New York. She came and she met some like-minded friends, and now they do what they call brunching. So every month they have people gathered and they're doing this brunching thing, and everybody wants to go because they make it fun. It is during the day, so they can, if they have children, they can leave their children with babysitters and then go and have fun, enjoy themselves, and then go back home. So that to say, you have to come to Sierra Leone. You have to look with your eyes,
yeah,
go everywhere, and then determine what is it that you can do, because
yeah.
it
Which
has to
what's
be
your
about what
skill
you
set?
can do.
What
What
you
is your skill set? What do you think that you can bring to the table, to the country, that you think is going to help or it's going to teach?
hmm
Because there's so many things here that like talking about gap. One I can readily bring to mind is, how can you now help the youth? What can you get the youth into as far as skills building? Where can you get them? What kind of business can you bring where you
hmm
can now bring these youth in to help them, to develop them? Because they're the people of tomorrow.
Right.
And there's such a huge gap with helping to make the youth understand that even if you have a college degree, you also need other types of skills that are going to help you, because the country can only employ so much.
Right.
They can only
Yeah.
employ so much. So, what can you do to help them to get that entrepreneurial mindset so that they can come and learn and do the work and then eventually go out and start their own business and doing other things?
Yeah.
So, there's just so many. There's just so
Yeah.
many. But you have to have the eyes for what you like, so
Mm,
it's not a job.
gotcha.
Because if you think it can work and it's your passion, then you bring it
Yeah.
and then it will work for you.
Okay, so taking what's your skill set, your superpower, your expertise, and just seeing how it applies here. And there's so many opportunities because a lot of areas are untapped. A lot of businesses haven't been created or need to be improved. So you can just apply that. But the first thing is you got to be here.
You gotta
So
be
you
here.
got to be here. A lot of people
Yes.
still don't make the trip. Even
Yes.
not even December, they don't come.
You have
So
to
you got
come.
to be here first. Put your eyes on things. Feel your way
You
around.
have to
Come here.
establish yourself.
Yeah, build
Because
some roots
if
here.
you're not, people don't, if you're here once in a while, people may not
Yeah,
trust you.
yeah,
And that's another thing.
mm,
People coming to Sierra Leone that want to start business, You cannot be here today and gone tomorrow. They will not
Yeah,
trust
you
you.
gotta have the
You have to
longevity.
stay. They have to see that, yes, you are here with them and they trust you better. And when they trust you, they can open up to you,
Yeah,
you know. And another thing that I would like to see is partnership, where, young people are coming together to build an empire, partnering,
yeah,
not just 4 or 5 people coming to do things separately on their own, where they can actually collaborate and build an empire that's going to stay, that's going to work towards, making them money, but also good for the country.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's very big. Collaboration is
Yes.
the key.
Yes.
We don't compete with each other. We don't put each other down. We
We work
collaborate.
together.
One plus one equals three. We can do
Yes.
more together than each one of us can do individually.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. So that was, really it. So in conclusion, we want to know kind of where people can find you, how they can follow up, if they want to do business or they just want to learn more about your journey and what you're doing here.
So we are on Facebook, CJ Group, CJ Call. We have a website, www.cjgroupsl.com. We're on Twitter. We are here. We just moved to a really nice area, and we just want to build a business. So if you have ideas and you're looking to outsource, um, just come to us and we can work with you. You just tell us what you want done. You don't you don't need anything. You tell us what you need and we sit down on the table, we put a plan together, we do all the hiring, we do the recruiting, we set up all equipment and whatever is needed to do your business for you.
Nice. That's perfect. Well, Auntie Summer, that concludes the interview. Really appreciate your time. I enjoy our meetings. We come and see you every time we're in town. And you've always given us some insight and understanding. And it's good to see just kind of how you progressed over the years. So thank you again for your time and uh, look forward to the next conversation.
Well, thank you very much. And I have to say to you guys, I mean, you just amaze me. Your interest that you have in making a change in Sierra Leone or in other parts of Africa. I just really, really like that. Every time you guys are here, I like seeing and hearing what you guys are up to and all your plans about making a difference in Africa. I wish you guys luck. I know you guys can do it because I know you have the strength, you have the vision, and I know that you're going to make it. So good luck.
Thank you so much.
Yes.